Hey folks, Rob Potter here from Mount Shasta, California. Inspired by my guest Brad Olsen, who's doing an outdoor version here. I'm outside and we see the rays of the sun sparkling through the trees in my backyard. We're joined by Brad Olsen and Brooks Agnew, two of my favorite people at my conference last year. I invited them again this year. I thought it was fitting since last year we kind of had a minimal audience. And for those of you who are interested, take your pick. Don't buy your tickets from me on my website. Please go to Brooks Agnew or Brad Olsen and purchase your tickets there. Okay? So we're almost sold out. It's going to be a great conference. I've actually got a film crew coming now for the first time that I think will really pull off. So it should be fun. So welcome, guys. I think, how are you doing?
Hey, good. I see you outside.
All
Yeah,
right.
the summer's going great.
Yeah, we got Brooks there in his bunker. You're down in Florida, right?
Well, I'm in my man cave.
That's in Florida?
No, I'm in North Carolina.
Oh, North Carolina. I didn't know that. For some reason I thought you were in Florida.
Yeah,
Okay,
much better weather this time of year.
all right. So since Brad's outside, he's above Skinwalker Ranch. Tell us what you're doing and how's it going out there in Utah, Brad?
It's going great. So where I'm located right now is, yes, overlooking my shoulder is the infamous Skinwalker Ranch, also known as the Sherman Ranch, who owned it for many years and sold it to Robert Bigelow of Bigelow Aerospace. And perhaps if I pan around in the meadow, there's even a tower that Robert Bigelow built, because right in that meadow behind me and up on the hill is the reported Stargate, where cryptid creatures are coming out from, where UFOs, even in the hit TV show called The Mysteries of Skinwalker Ranch, 2 seasons already have filmed here. They're working on a third season now. We watched a couple episodes before coming out, and one of the local sheriffs, said a UFO has landed here. There have been visions or witnesses of seeing craft in the sky above here. It's some kind of paranormal hotspot. And I'm here with about a half a dozen others. I'll just pan around. We're doing another night watch tonight. There they are. And let me get up. It's sunset here. So we're just an hour behind you, Rob, and I'll give you a little overview lay of the land. So it's a very hot today. It's close to 100 degrees. And this is the high desert plateau of northeastern Utah. This is the parameter of the Skinwalker Ranch. That meadow you see is really the place where a lot of the apparitions occur. We're about less than a half a mile away. Down over there, you see some houses. That's about where the gate is and the ranch starts. And then right in those cluster of trees is the original Sherman Ranch house. But now another real estate billionaire named Brandon Frugal, and he channel show about Skinwalker Ranch. And so each episode they're going into another mystery. This place is just layers of the onion peeled off. Magnetic anomalies here. There's underwater cave systems here. There is well, you can even see them pumping for oil right over here too. A lot of natural. Yes.
I'm going to ask you to not move because we're losing signal. But go ahead and if you got something special, go ahead and move it slowly. All right.
Okay, sorry. I'll just sit down and just try to give a little narration of the place. Well, it's been very famous, mostly for cryptids. These from Bigfoot to chupacabras to unknown creatures. And indeed, the property that we're on now is about the legal limit as close as you can get without going on to Skinwalker property. There are surveillance cameras all over. We can see one right over the ridge with a whole bunch of cameras. These guys are doing their own independent research. They're called Space Wolf Research, SWR. same initials as Skinwalker Ranch. And he has the best property to look down on the paranormal hotspot. So a lot of this activity occurs at night. We've already picked up a few things on digital camera, from orbs to even some kind of unidentified object. And we're filming with some infrared and just different cameras. We got night vision goggles, and we just stay up as late as we can and see what we see. And if anybody catches something, come run on out. And you guys know I like to travel and I like to go to places. And I was just down in Antarctica 2.5 years ago, which I'll be talking about at the summer conference. And now here I am at Skinwalker Ranch, checking out another really cool place.
Brooks, you have any comments?
Well, I live my life vicariously through Brad. I'm a scientist, so I love to explore this stuff. It inspires me. It moves me. I've talked to literally thousands of eyewitnesses around the world, and their stories, although they have their own individual flavors, they have a common theme, and that is undoubtedly, irrefutably, we are either being visited. These are ancient races that used to live on Earth, and they're still here, but to keep themselves separate from the population of Earth. And I find that most fascinating, that they can basically move about with impunity. We can try and chase them with F-18 Super Hornets, but catch them on film, but that's about it. They
Brad,
also,
I'm sorry, Brooks, can I interrupt you? I'm just going to pause the recording for just a moment. Technical hiccup here, folks. Hold on. About that, folks. Thanks, folks. Sorry about that, Brad. Go ahead. I'm Brooks.
okay.
The double B boy. Okay.
Well,
right off.
Although, I'm interested, and I try to read all that I can and explore, all that I can afford to do, I'm not the only one. My colleagues, which moved on from JPL now, that some went to work for Hughes Satellite, and one of my friends actually owns an Iridium satellite right now, an older one, but he rents the space out for cell phone communications and for different TV channels that are popping up all over the place. They use his satellite for the bandwidth. What we're all fascinated about is the money and the space programs that are being put together to explore the same thing we're talking about. They're trying to learn as well. And by and large, everybody's coming up empty. We can get close, but we're just only allowed to get so close. And what I find most fascinating about this is, sure, their technology is way beyond ours, or at least anything that we are willing to divulge to the people, but they're peaceful. Even though, and humanity, we don't understand that every time we get high technology, we have to weaponize it and use it against someone else for dominion over the earth. They're not that way. So it inspires me that in almost every case, they are explorers. They're just out looking around. And I think that they're actually communicating with some people, although I have doubts they're communicating with governments. Who the hell would want to do that anyway? But there, I think, individuals out there who are more in tune, or more, shall I say, aligned with the purpose of these visitors, and they're able to get messages from them and more evidence than maybe even the government's going to get itself. And I have friends in the Pentagon and associates that work closely with the Pentagon, and they're doubtful that they're going to reveal anything of substance. It's going to be a lot of smoke and mirrors. It's going to be a lot of partial reports or redacted reports. And frankly, I think the world has reached its peak of frustration with a bunch of blurry pictures and blurry videos and no conclusions. What we want to know is, are we alone on this earth? I know we're not alone in the universe, but are we the only sentient beings on this planet? I think the answer is a resounding no. So it comes down to the question, Are we ready or aren't we? And I'm ready. Aren't you ready, Brad?
I'm ready, Brooks.
I'm ready.
Let's do this thing.
And by the way, I live my life vicariously through Brad too. So, because he travels a lot. I'm skiing here, I'm skiing there, I'm going here, I'm doing that. So he's on the move, and I love that. So
I open up my Facebook every day. What did Brad do today? What exciting thing did he go see? You know, I need input, and he's always there with something.
yeah, so that's why my conferences are usually a little different. I'm with people who are more thinking like you, who are open and know what's going on, and so. I'll say a couple things here. So the inner earth, we're not alone inside the earth, and you know about the inner earth. And there's a group down there that we call the Great White Brotherhood, and this is the earth civilizations that have gone underground that are connected. And around every one of these locations of these more advanced fifth dimensional beings, like here in Telos, you're going to meet a guy here this year who went in the mountain last year. If you remember, I tried to have him, but he couldn't make it. He's going to talk about his experience in Telos last year. And then again this year, he was up on the mountain, and I interviewed him recently. He came down here, and he went to the same place, was able to make it back. And one of the girls, she was 8.5 feet tall, came and had a conversation with him. Some of it he can't reveal, but he's a great guy, fifth dimensional kind of consciousness, and so he'll be sharing about those positivities. There's also other, what you said, that the civilizations that are here that are separate, they're called breakaway civilizations, and some of them are inside the earth at various levels. And another comment I want to make, we're definitely not alone, even in the solar system. And you're going to meet my friend Raymond Keller, both of you, a gentleman who lived on Venus for 2.5 months and who is in constant contact. He even received documents for which he's writing his books, and he's revealing a lot of spiritual information. And we're going to reveal something very exciting and new about the life of Christ, which some people claim is not real, but it definitely is. And we're going to learn a lot of stuff from him this year, as well as we got Alex Collier and a new girl named Vivian Chavez, who is an Arcturian hybrid. And
Great.
you know how tough I can be on people with questioning them. I put her under the lights, and she came back with the right answers, and I'm convinced she's a wonderful spiritual addition, and so many good people coming. And we're going to get more gnosis on what's happening inside the earth from books, on the earth, and above the earth. And there is a purification going on. So, don't have fear. Let's say positive.
Well, we are definitely
And
in.
this is why I like to.
No, go ahead, Brad.
This is why I like to sit next to you, Brooks, at with our books tables, because we can have these one-on-one talks, and go up the chairlift with you, Rob, because you two guys are amazing speakers and so full of knowledge. And I really feel like I live vicariously through you guys too, all your wisdom. And we have a wisdom keeper here at Skinwalker Ranch with us tonight, telling us a lot of the local lore and so forth. This has been a haunted site for centuries. Just over that ridge, the Ute Indians have a reservation, but this was a bad juju site. They didn't come here. They knew about the skinwalkers that haunted this land. And one commonality that Brooks and I have, I've been to Antarctica, and I'm pretty confident I know where the entrance to inner earth is there, that I'll be talking about in my presentation at Shasta. And Brooks has the coordinates for the Arctic region, inner earth. And if you think of the earth as a torus, the in and out, you will understand that there will be these entrances to inner earth. And Rob, of course, your knowledge with Telos, bringing in Lowell to speak about his experience a year ago, and the inner terrestrials that are here. And I think Skinwalker Ranch has a connection with the inner terrestrials, that this is ultra terrestrial as well, an interdimensional portal site. And I can't say I've seen one. They say they have some video from last summer but it was grainy because it was about a half mile away and it wasn't conclusive enough. But the report is when it's night out, behind the portal, you see daylight. If a portal would appear now in the daylight, it would appear night behind it. So it has this kind of connection with inner Earth or interdimensional Earth and so many other strange things. And that's why I love these Earth mysteries, you guys. And you two are both so complementary to what I do because you're very much into it as well. So,
well,
returning the compliment there.
I didn't start out that way. When we wrote the first volume of the Arc of Millions of Years, I was first really exposed to the idea that Earth might be hollow. I was a skeptic. Of course, being a scientist, we try not to interject our beliefs into anything or preconception into anything. We come up with hypotheses and then do experiments, gather data, and try to either support or refute that hypothesis until it becomes a theory. And I wasn't really motivated to investigate Hollow Earth. I was talking about ancient civilizations in the first 4 volumes of the Arc of Millions of Years. Well, the data began to pile up, and let's just say it got to a critical mass in my inbox, and I finally said, okay, let's correlate all these things and let's see what's being done about it. Well, lo and behold, I found that NASA and JPL and even the European Space Agency, they're spending money, lots of it, billions of dollars to investigate the very same things. So I started going into those experiments and seeing what data was collected. Of course, they don't draw conclusions. They just gather data and make reports. But, and Brad knows this about me by now, I'm able to pull all these reports together and correlate them. And then I start seeing great similarities between them. And they're all looking at the same elephant, but they're looking at different portions of the elephant. Well, after a while, you connect the dots, you start to see the elephant. And it indicated that Earth was, in fact, a hollow sphere. It wasn't completely hollow. There's a solid core in the middle of it. And it took me, probably 5 months with Carnegie Science. And also Cambridge actually did the first experiment, and Carnegie Science got some grants and built a model and duplicated the signal that they were getting from the center of the Earth. And it turns out that we have a solid iron crystal core to the Earth. And you do see papers on this from time to time, but they still claim that it's molten and all of that. And it's not. It's ultra high density, which is why we have such a powerful magnetosphere around our planet. Not all planets have a magnetosphere. Mars doesn't have a magnetosphere. Moon doesn't. Several other planets don't. But ours does, which means we're not one body. We're 2 bodies. We have a dense crust upon which we live, and that crust could be, we are estimating based on seismological data, it's between 900 and 1,000 miles thick. And it undulates, it moves with what we call tidal gravity. Different gravitational forces tug and stretch the crust of the Earth, which generates a lot of heat and creates the molten magma that moves around between the layers of the crust. But inside the crust, and this was a remarkable discovery. It was done by Dr. Y. Sessions at Washington University in St. Louis. They went back through 600,000 seismograms. These are reports that are made by seismologists all over the world. They're unrelated to one another. They gathered all the seismograms together and they modeled them. They said, what does the inside of the Earth look like? Like doing a CAT scan of the Earth using earthquakes as the source of vibration. And lo and behold, he issues a paper that says, wait a minute, there's another ocean on the inside of the planet. It's the size of the Arctic Sea, and it's underneath the Atlantic Ocean. And we are detecting the waves crashing on the shore 1,000 miles on the inside of our planet. Well, that opened a whole new window of speculation that maybe the crust itself has its own gravitational pull, which would make sense by Newtonian science. And it is holding a body of water on the inside of the planet like it holds the ocean on the outside of the planet. And The theory is, or not the theory, but the hypothesis is that there are vents in the Arctic area that blend these two oceans. Now, most of the time they're under ice, but in 2008, that ice broke open for the first time in, I don't know, maybe 50,000 years. And we were able to get remarkable oceanographic samples of sea life that's been long gone from our oceans, swam up through that vent and were captured alive in our ocean. So we know where this area is. It's about a 10,000 square mile window, which sounds like a lot, but it's only 100 miles by 100 miles. And so our experiment that we want to conduct is to take an icebreaker to that area and survey that 10,000 square miles. It'll take about 15 days, but I've got a crew full, 125 scientists and some filmmakers. I'm trying to make room for the scientists who want to go to this area with us and sample the bottom of the ocean and sample the water and the magnetometry and the air and microscopic sea life and see if there's a high concentration of this inner earth life that's blending up there in the Arctic Sea, in the Arctic region. So the only time to go, of course, is July and August of the year, because that's when the ice is thin enough for the icebreakers to get through. So it's a small window, and it's expensive to get that ship. It's expensive to charter. But we feel and have felt for 10 years now that if we can get that to occur, and I think now we've got enough momentum behind it, and Brad's on our team, and Doc Skinner's on our team, and Suzanne Ross has her TV channel, everything's set up. Once we get that ship in place, the data is going to start flowing in. And it could take a couple of years to go through all that data and correlate it all. But I think it will be a landmark expedition that's going to change the way we perceive Earth, the planet itself, and the races upon it.
I think that's great. I think that the science is very important, the investigation, and I was going to talk a little bit. You said, well, they gather all this data, but they don't come to any conclusion, and you've come, trust me.
Well, they don't, because geologists
are coming to a conclusion.
And they don't
they're
talk
coming to
to
a
very core. Nobody talks to with one another.
Yeah, no. Well, the government corrals it all, compartmentalizes it, and they have teams that analyze and go forward. And of course, they've been digging underneath the earth, and they know what's going on down there. In the book's Transylvania Sunrise series, and it corresponds to what my friend Louis, who's been inside the earth, 3 different locations on the earth. He says it's a different dimension, and this corresponds to the inner earth when they're going boats towards the North Pole. If you're going at a steady speed, you can sometimes go below, and when the other dimension starts, just like in King Kong, just like in Arthur, in those stories, the other dimension, it creates a mist. Louis was guided in South America, called to the Valley of the Sun, a special retreat where the Inner Earth group communicates with people, and there is a group of surface scientists, the most notable being
You mentioned
George
King Kong. That's really interesting, because in the last movie,
well, I don't know about King Kong, but interdimensionality that happens when Louis went to this place. They sent him to a triangular lake with 2 other people he'd never met before. They were telepathically guided to Cusco back in 1980 something, and they all stood at the lake, and a mist came up, and they all appeared down beneath, and they met the 12 regents or guardians of the Inner Earth positive group. And of course, there has been a negative group, but that's ending now. So a lot of your research is backed up with esoteric experiences.
Oh yeah,
people.
definitely.
And of course, I'm sure you've read The Smoky God, yeah?
Oh sure, yeah.
Did you read this? So that's a real story. And
It
one other
like
thing
it.
I wanted to say is, the flat earthers and all that stuff, the original Eden with the 4 rivers and all that, that's based on the Inner Earth. That's an Inner Earth story, according to Dr. Frank Strange's and Raymond Keller.
You mentioned King Kong.
A lot of your stuff.
the previous movie about Godzilla, my character actually ended up on the editing room floor, but there was a line that was left in the movie. When Godzilla disappeared off the screen, one of the scientists turns around and talks to the other one and says, Dr. Brooks was right. The Earth is hollow.
That's classic. That's great.
And guys, any discussion about inner Earth, we have to talk about everything that's under the Earth, including the deep underground military bases. And that's an absolute known fact that there are over 130 bases, and some of them have been doing very nefarious things and are in the process of being taken out. That's why we're getting all these very anomalous earthquakes in places that hardly ever have earthquakes. And another big one just a few days ago after I left Lake Tahoe, a 6.1 just south of there. And Gene Decode and others who are watching and monitoring and getting military intel, Michael Jaco, who will also be at the conference. And I'm here with his wife, Tracy Jaco, for this Skywatch here at Skinwalker.
Tracy,
but if we talk about underground bases and that interconnection with Earth, and even in Talos, they're supposed to be 40 miles down the neck of a volcano, one of the deepest bases that has been around for a long time. I call them legacy bases. You could also say New Mexico is a legacy base, perhaps Area 54, where the tall whites live, that Charles Hall had introduced to the world when he was stationed there some decades ago. And there's other bases, the Aleutian Islands, Solomon Islands, other legacy bases where there have been an ET presence on Earth. And I believe this is the workaround of the Prime Directive, because you're not allowed to affect or change the course of an evolving civilization like ours on the surface planet of Earth. But if they're interterrestrials, if they are born here on this planet, well, then I guess they have as much right to living on Earth as we do. But when they have other abilities, fourth dimensional abilities and above, and become ultra terrestrials, well, then humans are at a great disadvantage. So I believe part of the Great Awakening is all of us starting to understand that there is interterrestrial civilization here on Earth. Brooks, you've presented the proof magnificently. Rob, you know people who have been down there, and we're going to have a conference. And I'm at a paranormal hotspot right now, and there are dozens of these around the world that have this interconnection with intelligences of this earthly plane, below it, and within other dimensions. So it's a great time to be alive and to be able to discuss these very important subjects in an open forum like this interview or the Mount Shasta Summer Conference. I'm really, really honored to be there again this year, Robin. Thank you for having me. And it's great to connect with you both in a faraway location like this. Go technology.
Yeah,
and by the way, if you're listening to this live or you're listening to this as a recording, you need to be there. It starts, I think, August 25th. It goes to the 30th. And we're going to be there face to face. Look, you've been locked down long enough. Get out. Go to a live event. Come to this event. I promise you'll be changed. You'll get so much information that you will look at the way you live your life completely differently.
Yeah, thanks, Brooks. I want to say it's actually the 26th through the 29th. And
I'm coming on the 25th, and I'm staying to the 30th.
Okay, you got to arrive on the 25th and leave on the 30th, or depending on how you want to do it. But there's going to be a reggae festival in town. Some friends of mine who wanted to do it, I helped them set it up. But my God, it's going to be so busy in town. The hotels are booked up. I'm surprised some people are still getting rooms. But there's 1,000 people. They got some big names. And for those who buy tickets, there's a discounted version that you get only after you buy the ticket. And we're going from 9 to 9, folks, every night. And
nice.
You're not going to want to stay inside and listen to every single speaker. Of course, all three of us and some others you're going to want to listen to, but it's what you choose to do. We're going to have some panels, and we're going to have 3 different rooms. So you may not get your speaker because the rooms have maximum capacity. So we're going to have some of our A-list speakers speak in the big room, and the small room. So you may hear people like Brad or Brooks, or I haven't even started the schedule, but I've got 28 speakers, and you know, I've got a lot of juggling to do with the speaker list. There's a mountain. You've got Panther Meadows. You've got, we're going to do a sky watch on Thursday up in Sand Flat. And with the contactees like Alex Collier, Raymond Keller, Vivian Chavez, Raymond Keller, myself and others, physical contactees and others who are in things, I think we might get some good results this year. We have to keep the vibrations up for them to come. So that's Thursday night, and we have some musical, some people that a guy that was in Buffalo Springfield. He's playing with a girl who's close with Neil Young, and they opened for his wedding. So we got some good musicians. We've got another guy, an amazing guy named Willard. He has iPads and makes music and communicates. An incredible guy, 81 years old, and he's a fantastic light of knowledge. And he creates the etheric spaceship, which is a big musical light show. And the music is he does it. The music is sampled from his DNA. It's
wow.
Amazing. And I'm gonna do my full pyramid system will be set up in the smaller room, and you'll be able to go in there and enjoy the Tesla coil and see all of the Pleiadian technology for the first time is going to be fully on display at my conference. And so it's going to be busy. So, but bring your bathing suits, bring your sunscreen, bring your hiking shoes, and you're going to want to go to the glacial lake at some point, maybe even early in the morning. We've got a full lake. If you're nearby, bring a stand-up, a kayak, bring your bike. There's bike trails here.
I'm putting my kayak in my luggage.
Yeah. So, I mean, you know, I'm actually encouraging people so the rooms don't totally book up, because we're literally to the max.
Well, I have some room. I can take probably 3 more people in my room. So I have a fold out and I have another bed. So if people come and they can't find a room, don't worry about it. We'll find a place for you.
I've got some extra rooms too, and we've got campsites reserved for people. But for those of you who are interested, if you want a room with Brooks, there you go. Give me a call, or if you know how to contact Brooks, contact him, and I'll hook you up.
I'm a very fastidious person, so don't worry about it.
So, and again, I want to say, don't buy your tickets from my website. Buy them from Brad or Brooks. Why don't you guys say your websites where they can get your tickets from?
Sure, mine's easy. It's just brooksagnew.com. Go to the upcoming events, and it's the top build event right there. You click on that banner, it'll take you right to the ticket site.
How about you, Mr. Olsen?
Just easy. Brad Olsen, OLSEN.com, one word, bradolsen.com. And there's a button right on the homepage, conferences where I'll be speaking at, and then just go down to the Mount Shasta Summer Conference and click on the link, and it'll go straight to it there.
Yeah, I don't think we need to. I mean, I think now we're at 25 tickets left, so I'm really excited. It's going to be really fun. What else you got going on there, Brad? You had anything else? And then we got 20 minutes left, so I want you guys to share anything new that you got going on with your lives and what's going on.
Okay, I'm on a road trip out to the Midwest. Get right back to you at your Brooks. Heading out to Colorado to see my dad tomorrow, and then driving across to Illinois for 2.5 weeks, where I grew up, and family and friends. And then coming back and doing a bunch of cool stuff then too, and heading on up to Shasta. Excuse me.
I have a couple companies that are coming around finally. My electric truck company is on the 4th round of funding. So it looks like we're going to get to the point where we can put these prototypes, the electric truck that we've designed, the Condor, into production. We have plenty of sales. We just have to get to the point where we can manufacture. And another company that I partner with in Santa Monica, California, which builds the Lifestream generator, which a lot of you probably know about. As you know, you may know, the core technology to that was built during World War II. And late last year, we just about exhausted all of the warehouses of that technology. So in 2019, we saw this coming, and I started to design a new motor that is a replacement of that 1941 motor. And we finally got it duplicated. We're very, very close to it. I think we're 6% off on the output, which is acceptable. And the prototypes were just finished last month. So they're going to be sent to Santa Monica. We're going to put that into production. I don't know how many orders. We have like 15,000 orders for that unit sitting there. Once that technology is released, what the benefits are from this Tesla technology is it re-energizes electrically the cells of the human body so that they work at their peak efficiency. And it's going through FDA approval right now as a treatment for Parkinson's, tremors, and also to help with alleviating the effects of Alzheimer's. It creates more cognizance in the brain. And this is non-invasive technology. You don't have to drill any holes anymore, put magnets in the body. It's all done externally. It's technology we've been building for 12 years using this old technology from World War II. And it was interesting because I had exhausted all of the technology providers out there. And as a last resort, I sent a motor to a company in California. And it turns out the colonel, the retired colonel that owns this company, was the production manager for the original motor in 1943. He's still around. So he was very excited to see one of his motors land on his desk. And we reverse engineered that technology. And that's the company that's providing us our armature. Really, really fantastic breakthrough.
Yeah, that sounds like it's kind of meant to be if that guy was actually involved.
Oh, yeah.
Previously, you kind of switched from the car to the other generator. So, or the truck. I mean, it could be a car. I mean, you're just putting a different.
It could be too much competition in cars. We went with municipal fleets, and we sat down with them from Santa Clara, California, Charlotte, North Carolina, several other cities, and they actually gave us the design parameters for the truck they want. So we built a chassis which can take a 50-mile-an-hour impact. By the way, it way exceeds it's the safest pickup truck ever built. And we created the Condor.
The question I have is it going to be a giant lithium battery, or what is
Well, fortunately, we don't make batteries. We just make the truck itself. So any battery technology will work in the truck as long as it provides the voltage and the current that we're looking for. And currently, yes, we are using lithium iron phosphate. It's the most cost effective right now, but there is better technology out there. It's just not in production yet. But when it gets in production, it will fit right in the truck.
And how big is that battery intended to be, and what does it weigh?
Right now it weighs right close to 1,000 pounds. It's like 920 pounds, and it's divided into 3 chambers, which are designed to take an impact without any compromise. And so we build those battery packs in-house. They are steel encased, not aluminum. They're very tough. And I have 2 prototypes that have been operating with the same batteries now for 12 years, and they still have 90% of their charge left.
How far do they go on a charge?
If you fully charge the vehicle and you're driving on flat ground, you can go about 230 miles on a charge, which is plenty. Nobody takes a 230-mile trip in a pickup truck. And they recharge with virtually any technology. We have integral solar built into the truck, so it charges itself in sunlight, but that's there for another reason. I can explain that in detail, but we don't have the time. The point is that you can plug this into a wall socket, a dryer plug, use any of the sidewalk chargers. It's extremely convenient to own.
And how long will it take to get another 100 miles, say I'm going to LA? It's 7.
Well, if you use any of the high amperage sidewalk chargers, some of them have 30 amps, some of them have 60 amp outputs. You can get 100 miles in about 30 minutes of charge.
Okay. All right, Brad. Anything else exciting? Share with us something. Give us a little teaser, maybe on Antarctica, or something that some new thing that you're excited about.
Yeah, I always follow all the news coming out of Antarctica, and some of my colleagues in the field, including Dr. Michael Sala and Linda Moulton Howe, have come out with new whistleblowers and new testimony that there's something big going on there. The Dark Fleet, according to Michael Sala's contact at Murdo Base, said they're getting out of there in a hurry. Something's going on. Either the Alliance or the White Hats are moving in on them, cutting off their supply lines. But he's saying ships out. There's a huge Germanic presence at McMurdo of Germans coming through, or German-speaking people. And then the Chinese are moving in big time. They're creating the largest bases there. When I was there 2.5 years ago, they were right across the bay, Admiralty Bay on King George Island, and we could see the lights off in the distance, and that was a Chinese base. And the people at the Polish base where we were visiting said they never seen anything like it. That when they come in, they just go big, real big, and they're building big bases down in Antarctica. So there's a renewed interest in either the resources, perhaps the remoteness, the underground or under ice terrain there, which is mixed with geothermal activity. So my talk of the hidden anomalies of Antarctica, I get into all the geophysical features and also the German bases that have been there since before World War II, and they never left. They just turned into West German bases. Now they're unified German bases, but they've stayed in the same place, and they have a big presence in South America as well. So a lot of this is coming out in the same way much of the other information is coming out on the deep state, and there is an Antarctica connection as well, which I'll bring up in our talk. So it's still a fluid situation, but considering that right now is the middle of the deepest winter, and that there is this activity of people fleeing the island, getting out of there fast, is quite indicative that we are seeing macro changes around the world. And as you always say, Rob, the victory to the light. And I think the good guys are winning this, and we are going to liberate this planet. And it's by the help of freedom fighters like you guys to keep getting the word out and making this a very plausible outcome that we are going to reach the golden age within our lifetimes. That is a goal that I would love to see myself.
Me too, and I the victory of the light is definitely assured. I want excuse me, I want to say something here. We've had this situation going on for a long time, and that's one of the things that I've just been understanding from my understanding with or learning from Dr. Keller in regards to the information revealed in the Bible. So I kind of uncovered this, and he confirmed it today, but the extraterrestrial federations had a different, they're evolving themselves. And, you know, we had a big battle in our system a long time ago, and the reptilian presence has got itself rooted here. And so most of the races, and they're, you know, there's a group from Aldebaran and Orion, and they've done a lot of damage in the galaxy over millions of years. And they just, as Alex Collier said, they just have an attitude problem. And they prey on third dimensional races when they're reaching a technology, and they basically harvest energy and resources from that world using other worlds that they've subjugated, and they do it through genetic altering. So what happened and how that happened is they used to allow burgeoning races to make treaties with various extraterrestrial groups. But it was found that the races, and this is throughout the galaxy, and many different types of races, would get these foreign extraterrestrials in, many of them well intended, but the individual societies would not become jealous, but want that technology, and they didn't have the spiritual development. And many of the races did have a spiritual development, but in some cases they would intermarry and have colonies, and they would side with the locals and say, yeah, why not give them a replicator? Why not do this? And why not do that? And so it's led to a lot of conflict, and a lot of worlds eventually discover nuclear power and blow themselves up. So at this point in time, in our particular system, the Venusians are our sentinels, they're our guardians, and they have repelled. There was a battle between the Olympians and the Titans, and the Olympians were the Venusians, and the Titans were some of these reptilians based races, some Saurians as well, and they were repelled. The Venusians repelled them. But 16,000 years ago, there was another battle amongst various groups, and a group on the Earth made a treaty with the reptilians. And that treaty was to end on December 21st, 2012. That's why it's been prophesied as a long era of peace, because they knew that the reptilians, as we know from Corey Gibbs' experiences on the moon base, that the light forces, the quantum system, what they call the AI or the Yabbledoth, is connected to a consciousness and a being, and it used to be connected to a Draco. And on December 21st, 2012, it was given back to a human, Kim Gogan, and I'm not going to go into that, but the reality is a human now kind of holds the reins, and the reptilians were still trying to hold on to the Earth and open a portal and take it over by force. Well, the Galactics will have nothing to do with that, and that's when the blue sphere beings decloaked from their world, and they may just be another planet in our system, actually, that was at a higher frequency, and they gave a warning to the deep state, the elites, those that control the world, and said, you must have a truly representative government, and like Cat Stevens said, longer boats are coming to win us. So if you don't get on board, we're going to do it by force. And that's what happened. And so now, for the most part, and there's still some nasty hidey holes of some of these giant spider and reptilians. I know this cryptozoology is freaking some people out, but it's a reality. And so what happened was they have been up, and a lot of them have left before. And so now it's the final clearing of the hostile alien force. The good guys had to remain behind the scenes because they cannot show themselves, or they're getting ready to. They're showing themselves incrementally, especially more and more. More and more contactees are taking real photos. Many galactic groups. There's actually a group called the Grand Council of Worlds, which is comprised of not just our galaxy, but multiple galaxies. And their technology and interdimensional power is mighty. And the message is not about silver spaceships and spacesuits. It's about the supremacy of love and the power of God and the connection to the higher frequency. So ultimately, that is what the changeover is about, is a changeover of frequency. And we can talk about it. But so that's what's happening, folks, is we now have the power within us to bring peace to this world. We have to focus on the hope and the new technology that Brooks talks about, and the revelations of our true historical past, which will be revealed to us. So how do we join these federations, and how do we earn that open contact? And I'll say this, and Brooks, if you want to make a comment here, and Brad after that, we have to have peace on Earth. We have to have a truly representative government. And that's what's happening. All the governments are bankrupt now. That's how the ETs in one fell swoop have taken out the governments. We just don't pay attention to them anymore. We reestablish our own new governments through a de jure assembly, and we start to create projects. Any person can create a project. It has to be a real project. And when people go, what about the money? What about the money? How about this, folks? Trillions of dollars are spent on bombs and destruction. And they've taken our sweat equity and confused us and siphoned us to feed these beings that suck on the negative energy. So how about this? We give someone $8 million to make a healing center, and he charges $5 a person. That's going to create wealth and abundance and prosperity in the community by people's health. How about we give everyone a living wage so you don't have to worry, you don't have to steal, lie, or cheat? How about we work in the spirit of cooperation? So financial system, we have to feed, shelter, and clothe the homeless, and we have to stop killing life on our planet with our technology. And when we as a people can do that, guided by the interdimensionals and the extraterrestrials that work with various people who can act as liaisons, when people are ready for that truth, and we have established peace, they're not going to come down here. You know, people go, give us that weapon, we want to kill them, or look at that religion, they're wrong. You know, God created all religions, and God is not a person or being. God is immanent and transcendent with all things, in all things, and God is beyond any form, including the Master Jesus, who is the greatest reflection, like the moon reflects the sun. Many different avatars, Krishna, Christ, are teaching these great things. We lost Brad on signal, I'm sorry. So I'm going to let you comment on that, Brooks, and maybe we'll get Brad back on.
Well, I think you're on the money. Science is just, the intelligence of man trying to explain or to assimilate to nature. So we try to make life a little easier to live and more full to live. We don't have to spend 6 hours a day trying to gather food in order to get through the day. We could just go down to the grocery and get it. All of the technology, I think, that we're bringing forth has divinity in its origin. It's being corrupted by evil men who, for some reason, they're driven to have way more than they could possibly consume in 100 lifetimes. And I think you're right. I think the earth has enough and to spare for all life on it. It is just being hoarded by a very few people for their own benefit. I think that we could become a much greater people and a much greater human race if we all worked kind of like we do in America. In America, we know how to take out our trash. We know how to handle our sewage. We know we take care of our air and our water and our streets. You don't ride around and find trash everywhere. Some continents have not figured that out yet. They're still dumping all their waste in the rivers, and it goes to the oceans, and then it pollutes the planet. If
I think
they
that I agree with you, but I want to say these people have figured it out. There's good people. It's the financial system of corruption,
Oh yeah.
and they're just not humans. Those elites, they're actually hybrids, and that's what's happened. Is through the genetic takeover by the reptilians, the humans that actually or have a tendency towards the reptilian consciousness are chosen to lead and to direct in these, literally a satanic cult. I'm not going to go into that here today, but I agree with what you're saying. But I want to give a shout out to the wonderful people in all the third world countries, like Africa. There's a beautiful thing. A woman, very articulate, says Africa is so poor they can't get it together. They export like $197 million worth of, or $1 billion every year from Africa. And they said this illusion, oh, send money to UNICEF and to this and that. It's all a lie.
Yeah.
They have been stealing, lying, and cheating at every turn. And if you look at the banking system, that itself is done.
Sure.
So
Well, I mean, the same thing happened to my ancestors in Scotland. The land was plentiful. The people worked hard. They were productive. But Britain stole all of their crops and starved them out. And so we were driven to Canada and then down into the US because we were seeking freedom from that oppression. Well, we're there again. We're at that point again. These, they like to call themselves the elite, but they're not the elite. We're the elite. They are, I don't know why they want to rule the world. It doesn't make any sense to me. I certainly wouldn't want to rule the world. It doesn't There's no, I don't want to take care of the world.
They've been promised positions of power. It's not just ruling the world. It's power and elite, and to have everything where everyone has nothing. They create scarcity and lack. So we're out of time, and I thought we'd have Brooks come back, but if you want to give a closing statement here, I really agree with you, and I want to thank you. And we're going to explore this topic and theme of something new at the conference. And of course, you always continue on with amazing stuff on your shows.
Well, I mean, what I really want to say is all those people that are listening to this right now, whether it's a recording or whether you're watching it later, this is where the world changes. It doesn't change with massive movements and big crowds. It happens with one or two or three people. And it warms me, it inspires me that these few people like Rob, going through tremendous risk and work and stress to create a place where we can come together and get this knowledge and then take it back with us to our communities. These energies of light, they don't come through the TV, they come through you. You take the light back to your community, and you're the one changing the average reality. So come to the live event. I promise you'll get something that you'll be able to take with you that will change your life situation.
Thank you. And I think it's another thing that I say in the beginning is the speakers are great, but it's about the people connecting.
Yeah, absolutely.
People, and if you can make a time before and after to stay on the mountain, it's very chaotic during the show. People are going everywhere. People are going to make friends, and we're going to have all kinds of good energy at the conference and learning lots of new knowledge. And a lot of vendors are coming, and the speakers will be having their books and stuff. So it's about you, the people, and we have to change it one loving heart at a time. And it's as we lift ourselves out of our beastly nature and our material attachment, and even our scientific mind, we have to move into our heart space more and recognize that logical doesn't always have to take rule. It can be imagination for the potentials and the possibilities of the future. And I'm telling you now, our future is bright. They're already celebrating upstairs. There's some mop up and clean up. The moon is controlled by the Venusians. Any talk of any reptilians on the moon is completely false. It's not true. There are no reptilians and grays on the moon. There is an Earth human base, and the Cabal meets there. But the Venusians have repelled them for quite some time. They have had a presence up there, but they're long gone. So there are battles above, below the Earth. There may be some battles near the moon. And we owe a great debt to our space family. And you're going to learn more about these details from the many wonderful people that are coming to our event. Brooks, thank you so much for coming on. And once again, what's your website if they want to buy a ticket?
It's brooksagnew.com, and just go to the upcoming events link there in the menu. And it's the top build event coming up in August. Be there. And remember, everything we do will eventually affect the universe. Do it on purpose.
And I'm going to give a shout out for Brad and say goodbye from Mr. Antarctica, esoteric, future esoteric, and beyond esoteric.
And his website's bradolsen.com, OLSEN, bradolsen.com.
Thanks. That's kind of you, Brad. All right, folks, check it out. We're going to have a few more interviews with various people coming to the conference coming up soon. And thank you, Victory to the Light. And we'll see you at the summer conference, or keep an eye on my YouTube or Brighteon channel. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Rob. Bye-bye.